Hi, welcome back to another update on my Saab Turbo 16S 1986 Aero or SPG as in the United States. I'm going to start this video off, unfortunately, with a little bit of a rant. For those that have sort of been following the start of this restoration, you'll know that I had problems with the fuel system. The fuel strainer was blocked. There was obviously old fuel in it because it's been sat for 15 years. Obviously, we sorted all that out in the earlier videos. And then what I'm actually trying to get down to is getting this front end off. Now, trying to get the engine started before I took the front end off. Again, if you follow the videos, you'll know that I had problems with the starter motor and flywheel, the pinion gear on the starter motor, and the actual bush that that holds the pinion gear was all worn, which then obviously destroyed the teeth on the flywheel. So while I'm at the car, I'll show you where we are. Obviously down here you can see a big gap through there. That's meant to be where the battery tray is. Obviously that's non-existent. The chassis leg, the front beam is gone up to here. There's a bit on this inner wing panel which possibly I could save. All the underneath is gone, as you can see. The near side, passenger side or left side in the UK, it isn't that bad, and my idea was to get the full panel from there to the other side. In the last video I showed you the how bad the oil cooler was, which I'll show you again in a minute. This is obviously your oil cooler, and it's a bolt-on piece. It bolts on with one of the main fastenings for this radiator and slam panel surround, and then it has a few independent bolts, and obviously the oil cooler sits there and the kit sits across the front, which hides it all away. Now the inner wing on the near side or left hand side is gone on the wheel arch. Again, that could all be patched. A bit of surface rust. There's a strengthening bracket, which I'll show you in a bit, that sits on top of the oil cooler. I did say that the actual steel of the oil cooler was 1.2 mil. It actually turns out it's 2 mil, or even 2.2. I couldn't really get my vernier gauges to give, because of the rust. I couldn't really get a proper measurement, but I think it's between 2 and 2.2 mil, which is obviously quite thick steel, and you wouldn't expect that sort of thick steel to go through like it has. But I think, like I say, maybe from here to that corner, I've been promised a panel. So my rant is basically, about 5 weeks ago I set up with a supplier down south to get flywheel. Didn't know what I needed with the starter motor and what else had been damaged. So I had a flywheel put on one side, and about 3.5 weeks ago I went, yep, go ahead, I want it. Sent an email confirmation with all the drawings to go with it. Well, that was 3.5 weeks ago. I chased it up, spoke to the chap so a number of times. I got told it had gone to Belfast. I kept asking for tracking numbers. They didn't materialise, and then I think on the last video I said I was going to ring them, find out exactly what was going on, because it's really put me behind. And I got told that it's been delivered. When I asked where to, who signed for it, have you got the tracking details? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So all I can think is, what it seems to be, it never, ever materialised in the first place. It was never on its way. So basically, I've been messed about for touching on 6 weeks. So apologies. That's why I haven't taken this front end off, because what was meant to be a reputable Saab supplier really let me down. So anyway, rant over, move on. let's crack on. I just want to show you a couple of bits before I take you into Steptoe's yard. One thing I did notice when I was taking the starter motor off, there was one of the connections. You can't really see it down here. There's an electrical connection wherever she is. She's around somewhere. Oh, she's hiding down here. But on this bolt under here, I think it's a 10 or 12 bolt. That is your knock sensor. Now, I noticed it was loose, and when I actually took it off, it seems that the casting of it was cracked. So I did a bit of fiddling about, which I'll show you in a bit. Soldered it together, got a reading through my multimeter, and again, I'll show you that in a minute. Maybe that'll do as a spare. I really don't know. But so basically, I'm in two minds now whether just to take this front end completely off and do the flywheel. Obviously, the clutch is now working, which I can put the retaining spring inside the pressure plate fingers to keep the clutch back, and then I can remove the slave cylinder, the clutch, and then the flywheel, and hopefully get the engine sorted. So that's about where we are there. I'll take you into Steptoe's yard and I'll give you more of an update. So after a big rant on about this missing parcel, I got in touch with another chap over quite near to me, another Saab specialist who was really helpful. And after that was Wednesday afternoon. On Thursday afternoon, he said he'd got one. I did a 2-hour round trip, and we have one. We finally have a decent flywheel. So that's really good news. That obviously is now going to go on the car. A lot of work to do there. Obviously, I've got to take the front end off, and it's probably it's easier to work with the bonnet off and directly onto the back end of the back or front end of the engine. Obviously, they're in reverse. Now, in my last video, if you remember the oil cooler surround, if you nip back one video, you'll see how bad it was. I mean, it was really rusty. And as promised, I took it to the shop blasters the next day. He did it within the day, so I picked that up, done a bit of fabrication on it, and well, we now have the oil cooler back in one piece. What I've done is a lot of these sections are bead rolled, obviously for strengthening, and this inner section here was gone. So I've bead rolled that section, spot welded it in. It will need, it's got to be rubbed down. Epoxy primer, high coat primer, base coat, lacquer, that type of thing. I've got to do rub the inside with my finger file, and then I'm going to seam seal all the joints inside, and hopefully that's going to last another 40 years. It's come out better than I thought actually. It's a couple of hours work, but like I said, they do remake these, and they're 270 quid. So that's probably about what, $350-400 or in the States, which is a lot of money. That was the support bracket, which you can see the part number on there. It's 7540305. And the good thing about Saab is they part number everything, which is really cool. So that's been in the flow rust, and a new one I'm going to show you in a minute, the citric acid, that's been in there. This was, I soaked this, I did all the gaps with rust killer, so this is there's definitely no rust inside any of this. The part number for that is 754181, and that's the oil cooler surround. The oil cooler sits in the back here with a length of foam, and there is some seals that fit onto this lip. I think that they call them finned rubber seal or shark fin seal, and I think what they do is it's a thick seal that runs across the front, sort of like that, and it's what actually guides the air from the aero kit into the oil cooler, to obviously make it more efficient. So Flywheel, I picked up a new bearing while I was at the suppliers, which is great. And also, this was my knock sensor, and it was split. It was split right down here, and I think it was making intermittent contacts, which I dremeled out, and I managed to resolder the contacts. But I thought, I mean, I'll go for a new one now. Mine's an 84 to 86 model, which is again is totally different after the so I believe after the 87 upgrade models. Now my knock sensor, so I believe, there's the part number there, and that's for 84 to 86. Now those are 35 quid new. I got this second hand off the supplier, which was great. I was going to try it. This might be part of the idling issues. I really don't know. Again, it's all a learning circle. But what I did know, I got the data sheets for the knock sensor, and the Bosch, the 87 model, is an 046, and it operates at a totally different frequency to mine. Now, I think that is probably due to the ECU being a very basic early ECU, and whether they upgraded the ECU on the 87 models, and obviously the knock sensor. But so those are 35 quid. The 046 is 16 quid, so twice the price, and that's so be it. Right, so going on to I've covered that. I was experimenting. I bought off eBay. I bought some 100% food grade citric acid, a kilo, £5 delivered. Brilliant. Tiny drop of the flow liner in warm water, and what I used was a fish tank heater. I used that, but obviously it's no good for low level water. What I also did was use an old dog bowl on the hob, and constantly drain the water off, and warmed it back up on the hob, about 50 to 60 degrees. Now I did this 3 times, and what this is the plate that sits on the front of the front bumper that holds a red plate, and it was really rusty, surface rust. Not, it hadn't gone through, but it was surface rust. So I broke 2 of the bolts getting it off. I was careful back and forth with some penetration fluid, but they just went. So I'll have to drill those out. Now I want to show you this. This is 3 times. What I did, I put it in warm water with loads of the citric acid. They do say 10 to 1. I used a lot more than that. I did about 20, 1 to 5, or 2 parts citric acid to 10 parts hot water. Now look at this. I was going to have it shot blasted. All gone. Now the worst bit was inside. Now obviously I'm still going. Now if you look just down here, this is what you end up with. Little bubbles of orange rust, which will scratch away like that. You can see it because they're bright orange. Get rid of all those. Maybe you drill with your wire brush. I did it twice, maybe 3 times. Scratched it all off. Back in the flow rust and citric acid for a couple of hours. Loads of effervescence come off it. and it's worked perfect. So that is job done with that one. So I'm going to use this a lot more. It's very sticky on your hand, so I'll get it off as soon as possible. And I think it needs neutralising as well, with maybe some bicarb after you've done it. But what I'm going to do, once I've done all my parts, I get the cure rust, the hammerite cure rust, and I'll paint it all. And then I know before I etch primer it and epoxy and primer and galvanised top coat, if I do that way, I know that there's never going to be any rust coming back. So that is, again, it's more of an update to sort of, well, more of a rant, to be honest with you, with the that's all. But anyway, that's in the past. So we are slowly getting there with Flywheel. Punch the bearing in either with a bearing press or an equally sized socket into to push the bearing in. I'll refit the knock sensor, and it's whether I actually go for try and get the edging started, or basically take all the front end off the radiator and just go for the do the flywheel from the front rather than struggle from the side. I can always probably as long as the engine fires up, I really don't need water in it, because I mean, for 30 seconds a minute it's not going to get that hot. Or I could reattach the radiator. So that's it basically. It was more of an update and more of an apology for why things have been taking so long, because I was really let down for weeks and weeks trying to get hold of the flywheel, which obviously now all that's sorted, I can crack on. But obviously the weather today's not too bad, but the weather's drawing in, the nights are drawing in, it's getting colder. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully next time we should know more about the starting, well, getting the engine started and tackling how bad this rust is behind the radiator and front gearbox mounting. So I'll leave it there. Look after yourself. Thanks for looking in. Take care, and I'll see you soon.